And so Bitcoin up 0.81%, sitting just under 38,000. Fantom is trying to hold up at 70 cents. Yes, it's been a crazy 48 hours here in the crypto space, and in particular in the Fantom ecosystem. And in this video, I just want to get to some truths. We need to have a reality check on what's going on, because when things get difficult, that is when an ecosystem's and a community's true colors start to come out. So I'm going to have a little bit of a rant in this video to cover off a few things which are frustrating me, which I think we need to improve on as a community. And then next, we'll look at the technicals. We'll look at the key levels on when are we going to stop this bleeding, right? We're seeing a little bit of green today. Fantom up about 1% at the time of recording, but is this just a calling off? Can we continue to head to the downside? What are the kind of price levels we need to be comfortable with? And what's going on? What are these frustrations? Why is Fantom struggling so hard? And what's going on with the crypto space? So sit back, hit up the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. As always, if you'd like my perspective, course member live streams, ijaz.uk/member. Consider joining those to get access to our very own course member live streams. We're jumping on in about an hour from now with our course members to cover off any concerns they have in the market, any questions they have, and so much more. Right, let's get straight into the charts. Because as we can see here on Bitcoin, I'm just sat here on the 4-hourly chart, and you can see we're in this descending wedge. Now remember, a descending wedge has 2/3 probability of breaking to the upside, which is really good. So your upside kind of price target, at least you'd say at the top of the wedge, is 42,500 levels. So we know that's a key level for Bitcoin to really get back to and start securing a bit of comfort, is around this 42.5 level. So that's what we're looking out for here. But obviously you still have a probability of breaking out to the downside from such a wedge as well. And what we need to do is we need to take that measured move, and the measured move would look something like this. And you place that at the point of the breakout. And if we were to break out at any point here, then you're looking at a price target of Bitcoin around the 33,000, which we know makes sense, right? Because remember, when we were looking at our broader pattern, let me head back over to the daily. When we're looking at this pattern, the white one, the white wedge, we know that the bottom of this white wedge here falls all the way down at the 34 towards 33 range on this wick. Okay, so these are the kind of levels we're looking out for, and they kind of marry up to the bearish side. But the bullish situation is if Bitcoin can break to the upside from this wedge, we can head to 42.5. Now, what's going to lead that to happen? We need the markets to open up positive next week. But at the same time, we know we're getting the FOMC meeting where we're expecting a rate hike. So I don't see any positive catalyst until at least the Fed meeting happens on the 4th. So in the lead up to the 4th or 5th, what I'm expecting is more of a sell-off, more volatile markets, and ups and downs. I'm expecting that in the couple of days leading up to it. But then based on what Jerome Powell does, this is either going to fall one direction or head up to the other. And that's going to be based on what policy he chooses. If Jerome Powell comes out aggressive with his interest rate hikes, what I mean aggressive is more than a double rate hike, which we're just not expecting. The market's priced in a double rate hike. If we get a double rate hike, we could fall slightly / move sideways is my prediction there. And if we get less than a double rate hike, so if we see a 0.25% rate hike, which will be really nice, the market could use that as an opportunity to rally because they've already priced in the worst. Okay, so that's what we're looking for going into this week. So I'm expecting some volatility. Now, what does that mean for an already beaten up market, right? Because the market's already taken a hit, and it's not just Fantom, which we monitor on this channel. There's a lot of the coins getting really hit, as we covered off over the last few days. And the reality is we've seen Fantom getting the brunt of the downside. We can see Fantom sitting at literally 69 cents at the time of the recording this video. And it's just bled. You guys know I already set the technical price target to come towards the 90-cent range. And we already met that target, but the weakness in the market continues to drive us to the downside, okay? So we're getting a really prolonged period of weakness in the global economy, okay? I just want to preface this again in case I'm not making sense to people. This is not crypto specific. This is not Fantom specific at the moment. I'm going to come on to what is Fantom specific. But generally, the downside movements, we've got the S&P at lowest level since March 2020. Let's put that into perspective. That's 24 months, 2 years, right, of how weak the market is right now. The market is coming off that Red Bull hype. It's going to be painful. So we already know we're fighting uphill in terms of crypto as a whole. So crypto is struggling. Risk is off right now. And that is why we're seeing downward retracements. But relatively, Bitcoin is, I think, in my view, is holding up pretty well. The fact that we're holding here at 38,000, even if we did need to visit 33, 34, we're okay. Where I get nervous is if we post a lower low, lower than 32. So we'll come on to that, if and when that happens. Now, what's going on with Fantom? Because Fantom's taken its fair share of beats to the downside, and part of that, well, I'd say the majority of that, is market specific. But we have to be very transparent. There are a few things which Fantom are doing specifically, which is not helping its own cause. And the first thing is what we covered off around the whole Andre Cronje saga. The whole communication mess behind that has continued to leave a bitter taste in the community's mouth, right? We're seeing that. And you thought you were kind of at the worst of it in terms of people should understand that, you know, he didn't have that much involvement anyway, and he continues to be involved in the project. If you haven't watched my video covering off Andre Cronje's comments on his return the other day, make sure you go watch that. Really important. That was just within the last 36, 48 hours. Go and watch that video. It's really good breakdown of, you know, he reveals some real truths about Fantom and the Solidity token. So that was the first thing that's weighing on the markets. Then you had this issue around the token burns, right? So there's a bunch of miscommunication around whether Fantom was burning tokens or not burning tokens. Really doesn't help the foundation when they're coming out with mixed messages around that. So that was the other concern. And then the next thing we had, which we covered off yesterday, it's been a crazy, crazy 48 hours, guys. And the next thing we had after that was the Deuce Finance. However you want to pronounce Deuce. I know some of you were messaging me in the comments. I'm going to say Deuce, maybe Deus or something else. Who cares? Deuce Finance. Either way, they got hacked for the second time running. And again, a lot of that negative connotations got spread onto Fantom. And we covered it off, and arguably you can say, okay, one is Deuce's responsibility, but two, it was the data oracle, Muon, I believe, who they use, from a little bit of research, Muon, who they use, which is responsible for that too. Now, Deuce have come out and said, okay, we're going to use Chainlink, and there's the whole eulogy thing, which everybody's voting for in the Fantom ecosystem. But it's not enough, right? Once you've tarnished the brand, it's a bit of a problem, and this kind of affects more on Fantom. You've got to remember, the average investor is not super sophisticated. They're not going and looking into Deuce Finance and then understanding, okay, it was the data oracle that got hacked. They see a headline, they see protocol on Fantom gets hacked, and they react to it. So we need to be very careful, and we can't have protocols being that lackadaisical, particularly when they're some of the larger protocols and the more popular ones on the Fantom space. So people need to start taking responsibility for that. Now, on top of that, as if we need any more FUD around Fantom, you then get the inexcusable degenerate plays from huge members of the Fantom ecosystem. I'm talking specifically about the Voucher wallet, which we've been monitoring. 50 million in leveraged positions on Screen Finance. His health score falls below 1, and he begins to get liquidated. So no doubt that's part of, you know, the price movement to the downside. He's getting huge amounts liquidated at risks of messing up the chain due to liquidity issues. He's then loaned 2 million by Laffer from Deuce Finance from their treasury. They lent him 2 million in USDC. We covered that off in the video. I think it was yesterday, was it? I can't keep track of the days now. It's that crazy. But he lent him 2 million USDC just to help him cover off his liquidations. But it's not helping. He's still bleeding, and those liquidations are still occurring. So we need to keep an eye on that as well. So this comes down to, what am I doing in this market? I think that's the reality. Is we need to say, okay, sitting here, what am I doing in this market? And the reality is, I have been nibbling. I've been nibbling on Fantom just in case we get a sharp rebound. Because my view is, once these liquidations kind of come to an end, once the FUD starts to come to an end, we will see quite a strong rebound. But at the same time, I am cognizant that you don't want to be dollar cost averaging in too much into weakness. It is better to dollar cost average into strength once you've seen a little bit of a curling out. Right now, you're parabolic down, right? This is not a great time to be allocating money. Now, given that I'm a little bit more experienced, I'm a bit more comfortable nibbling because I know I'm in control of my nibbles, but generally you want to stay away from doing that. Okay, so that's the first thing, is we don't know where the bottom is just yet. So I wouldn't be going gung-ho right now. There are not major levels of support. Let's just try and get back into that chart. There are not major levels of support coming in. You got a little bit where we're at coming towards shortly, which is at 68. I'd then say you've got a bit at 58 and then some at 38. Those are the three levels I'm trying to build some support out from, dating back all the way in 2021. So those are the levels I'm looking out for here. Okay, now what comes after that? As in, once you get to those levels, will we see a bouncing off? It's going to depend on the wider market. It's going to depend on the wider market. We need to keep that in focus. Now, back onto what I want to cover off, and this is the bit I wanted to rant about, is in this moment when the market has been so down, we're starting to see the true colors of people come out. And now, despite me making many, many videos, if you're part of this community for a long time, you've got no excuse but to have a diversified portfolio. If you're part of my course member live streams, you're just part of any of these videos, I make very clear that Fantom is a small part of my portfolio, part of the segment of my portfolio that's allocated to layer one solutions. And in there, I have Cardano. In there, I will have Solana. I have Luna. I have Algorand as a slightly more riskier play. I have Fantom as a riskier play. And that's how I build out my portfolio. But the degens are here because we can see that the ones who are crying in the Discord, in the community, on Twitter, as always, are people who make degen plays. If you're Roosh with 53 million in Scream Finance leveraged up, you don't have a reason to cry if Fantom falls down. If you're putting that into a project, you're deluded, right? And if you've equally, even if you've got a smaller net worth, if you've got 60, 70, 80% of your net worth in a low cap project like Fantom, you're asking to get hurt. And the reality is any project can fall like this. Any project can fall, okay? So we need to be careful of what we invest in because the reality is what you invest in is going to have an impact. So you need to, in fact, I want to show you this. Let me just show you this before carrying on my rant. Let's take a look at this. This article is really interesting. Solana goes dark for 7 hours. Now, let me put this into perspective. Solana is a top 5 layer 1 blockchain. VC backing, been around for a long time, huge. 10x at least the market cap of something like Fantom. Again, I would not hold 50, 60% of this. They went dark for 7 hours. In September, they went dark for 16, 17 hours. 17 hours outage in September. This is the actual blockchain of Solana. This is not Deus Finance, a protocol on it, or the data oracle. So if you're thinking here that, mistakes can't happen or there can't be ups and downs in a project, you're deluded. Even if you invested 100% in Bitcoin, you're not diversified enough because Elon Musk dumped Bitcoin that time, right? And you would have been in a world of pain and upset and messaging a bunch of FUD, oh, Bitcoin's going to die, it's horrible, it's horrible. That is why you need to have a diversified portfolio. So if one project at any moment goes down, you're sleeping well at night. Right? Doesn't mean you don't have conviction in a project. You have conviction, which is why you have positions. But to say, oh, I have 100% conviction in a project, if that was the case, it would be easy. Everybody would just pick their favorite token and invest 100% into it. Nobody would diversify, right? But it doesn't work like that. So for those of you who are getting upset, it's so obvious when we see your messages on Twitter or we see your messages on Discord that you're just over allocated on a low cap project, and you need a reality check on that because that is not how investing works. You need to balance your portfolio. You need to have conviction in your favorite plays, and that way you can dollar cost average now without your whole portfolio feeling really horrible because you're all invested in one small cap project. And if you're feeling this is bad, just play the scenario out if something actually bad did happen to Fantom in terms of the actual Fantom's blockchain itself. What if they did get hacked, right? What if something like the Solana outage did happen on Fantom? You're going to see it fall a lot more. Right? So you need to hold that into perspective, and that is why you need to allocate your percentages in your portfolio in a sensible manner. Right, rant over, guys. There's what we're seeing here on the Fantom chart. So hope you appreciate this blend between technicals and fundamentals. It's been a really difficult 48 hours. If you haven't caught up on the videos, make sure you do that. I'll link them out through this video. I'll also put some on the end screen as well. But you need to go and listen to the Andre Cronje issue to understand what has happened. You need to understand what is happening with the burning mechanism on Fantom. Go understand what happened with the Deus Finance hack as well. So much more to catch up on. Go watch my last few videos because that will fill you in on everything that is going on in the space. Right. Back to my Sunday. Hope you guys have a good Sunday as well, and I'll see you in the next one.